you get your dollar. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Specula, because we all want to earn in dollars, no longer in naira. So I hope that was helpful. So on to Mr. Wisdom. You're a technical writer, and I've seen your works. I've also seen most people you coach and how well they're doing for themselves. So I just want to ask you this one question. How can we make money as a writer and also as a software engineer using tools like Google Bard, ChatGPT, or Palm API?
All right, yeah, thank you for that question. It's very simple. So under the writing, you can make money with content creation. So I would use a story that happened by myself. So I applied for a writing contest under Hackathon, and they kind of have 3 categories, and that is a writing contest. First one $5, second is 1,000, and the third is 500. Now, they kind of gave us 1 month to do that, and one funny thing is the technology that they mentioned in that writing contest, I have not used that before. So that is where the AI comes in. So I had to consult. Now AI is just like my friend. One of the speakers talked about AI being your assistant. So AI became my friend. So I used ChatGPT.
Helps you a lot as a technical writer, even as a beginner. So I want to ask, how do you contribute to open source as a technical writer? And also just point out one significant challenge you have faced when freelancing as a technical writer or in technical writing, and just one way you were able to overcome it. Thank you.
Thank you. I think the easiest way contributing to open source as a beginner is in documentations. As developers, I think the most challenging thing is when you go to use a technology and then you find out that the docs is extremely hard to understand because most people kind of write those in a very technical manner that it's hard to digest. And as a technical writer, when you're reading docs, you know when a docs is more complex than it should be, or when it's written.
All right. Please, because of time, we were unable to really pick their brains as much as we would love to do. Technical guys, if you have their channels, maybe their handles on social media, please put it on the screen so that we can always bug them and ask them further questions. And ladies and gentlemen, how many of us did the little challenge I asked you to do, which was to search for Nigeria.com? How many of us did that? What did you see? Huh? So you now know why Nigeria is the way it is. So please, starting from today, when you are going out, wear your helmet. Because we are still under what? Construction. All right. Mobile development, and then went to web and realized that both the anointing I have and my village people could not carry me through. And I transitioned to where I am right now, and I'm comfortable. At least I'm not writing any code, and the small doors are still coming in the way they are. Now, someone is going to talk to us about some of the things that are not well talked about. And his name is accomplished product manager who is keen on driving innovation and delivering customer-centric solutions that create a lasting impact with a strong background in software product management. Godfrey excels in defining and executing comprehensive product strategies from conception to launch and to align them with business goals and user needs. I won't be able to read all of this. Please feel free to go on the site and read more about Godfrey. I'd rather have him come speak to us, which will tell better about who he is. So ladies and gentlemen, can we put our hands together for Godfrey Anyausi as he comes to speak on the topic, embracing failure and conquering your fears in ever-changing tech verse. Godfrey, my man.
Pablo. Good evening, everybody. Hope you guys are eating. No. Okay. Don't worry, the food will get to you. So, good evening, everybody. My name is ILC Godfrey. I'm actually a product manager at Renaissance Innovations Lab. I am not the co-founder. Before my guys at me, I am not the co-founder. I'm the product manager there, and I'm also the GDG organizer for GDG Port Harcourt, one of the sister community organizing this. So, I'll be speaking on embracing fear. I'll be embracing failure and conquering your fears in the ever-changing Devfest. And please, how many of us watch the MCU here? Oh, very good. And the thing about the MCU, they've slapped a lot of multiverse into something. If they can't explain it, they just slap what? Multiverse. In Loki, there's what? Multiverse. And everything, a lot of multiverses. Okay. So basically, I'll be talking about a couple of things. I think I know my slides already. So if I can get someone there. Awesome. So my name is ILC Godfrey. And on LinkedIn and on Twitter, you see my handle is ILC Godfrey. And I'm a product manager. I'm a mobile app developer. These are just a few companies I've worked for. Olotu Square, Renaissance Innovations Lab, Ellis Gate, Ferex, and Rudigo. So who is there? Stop it now, you're making me blush. So can you go back? Sorry, who is there? Can you pass? Okay. So basically, this is going to be my table of content. I'm not going to write table of content. I write one, two. That's what we did when we were in school. I'm just going to try something different. So we're going to talk about fear. I want to ask a very quick question. So you have two candidates, yeah? Candidate A and candidate B. Now, whatever skill you want to do, let's say front-end development. Candidate A knows HTML, CSS, and JavaScript very well, can build websites in a very awesome way, but candidate A can only communicate 10% of what he or she has done. Are you following? Then we have candidate B that knows a little bit of HTML and CSS and JavaScript, not really there, but can communicate 80% of what he or she has done. Like Mr. Now, I'll point out communities. Yeah, I'm going to direct this to the people just starting out. When I started tech, still fresh out of Uniport, I was in 400 level. I was supposed to be on IT, studied engineering, but I was writing code in my dorm. I've encountered a lot of bugs. I didn't ask a lot of questions. I just picked up, after Fortran, my next language was Java and ice cream and Fanta, but I also get the code done. So those two things were pushing me to join community. But I gained a lot for making that decision. Number one, you experts, but from our keynote speaker, from our mom here, and from engineer Nebet, you can see that these guys have been writing code for 18 years. They can tell you the do's and don'ts, and they don't expect you to make the same mistake that they made starting out 18 years ago. So these are things you can learn. And last but not the least, you can also find love here. There are some very nice sisters that you can just walk up to. I'm a full stack developer, you understand? And that always sells the market. Thank you, brother. Of the people in the congregation or in the crowd was the founder of Linux, the guy that actually wrote Linux. Now, imagine I was coming up to talk about Ubuntu. Let me speak like the normal Nigerian. Which kind of mouth I want you to teach him about what's in an event? You get the point right now. So if I'm coming to speak about a certain technology that I just practically learned on YouTube, and the makers of that technology is in the crowd, would I not have imposter syndrome? You definitely get imposter. It's a normal thing. Not because you don't know what you want to teach. There's this part of it that tells you that, what if I say A is supposed to do B, but A is actually doing C? Because the guy that wrote the particular technology is in the crowd. So we face imposter syndrome, even the fact that at times we build up ourselves, come down here and talk to you guys. Do these three things. Number one, you've absolutely perfected something. Yeah? It doesn't mean I've perfected failure. I have not perfected failure. I am still failing and I am still learning. Number two, you've learned all there is to know about a certain subject. And number three, you are considered to be the best in a particular field or subject. So the summary of that is just the fact that when you have imposter syndrome and you already want to take that step in learning a certain technology, you push yourself because you don't want to be found wanting. Now, the disadvantages. I'm just going to point on three basic disadvantages. You are devastated, you're sad, and you're depressed. Meaning, if I climb up this page and I'm shaking, I can't explain what I'm doing, and everybody's just looking at me, there's this particular feeling I'm going to have, and it's not good. Number two, you have self-doubt. You'll be doubting yourself. Can I actually do this? Am I not going to say this? Can I should do this? And last but not the least, you have this damaging desire to be alone. So if everything now goes wrong, and I'll walk down the stage, I'll go to the back like, God, I just messed up. Oh my God. And people are talking to you and you don't want to listen to them. Your self-esteem goes down. But always look at the advantages. Always look at the advantage, the fact that you have to push yourself so that you may find one thing. Now, we'll talk about fear. So I talked about what? Community. I talked about what? Communication. And I talked about what? Imposter syndrome. And the reason I pointed out these three particular areas is because fear of failure comes in those three areas. And we'll actually tackle it. Number one, fear. An unpleasant emotion. I don't even need to define fear to you guys. Okay? So let's do something very simple. If some gunman walks into the hall and shoots, pa, 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 we all what? Will scatter out of fear. It's a normal thing. We don't even, they say it's called what? The fear of flight. You just move. Whether you like it or not, at every point in time, you've actually felt fear. At times, there's then you now tell yourself, okay, I need to relax. You now start calming yourself that you need to be all right. Please go back home. Please go back. Yeah. So failure, also something that most of us have experienced. Failure is the state of not succeeding in an attempt or an endeavor. I possibly can remember all the times I've really failed. Oh, it's working now. Please go back to failure, please. Yes, go back to failure. Yes. I can remember most of the times that I failed. Yeah. Funny enough, I don't know. Did anybody go to Uniport here? Oh my God. How many of you did basic? I failed basic. And I did basic again. And I did not read. And I passed. I didn't go. Did they go in basic? If you are going in basic now, I don't know what they are doing there. Now, this is the thing. The reason I'm saying this is because it's one of those failures that the fear of failing basic was more than you reading for basic then. Then they tell you, oh, then it was 50K we're paying then. No, like way back, we're paying 50K. That was basic school fees. And they tell you, oh boy, I know if you go back my house, I wanted to say 50K loss. It's not now that the 50K feels then. Then 50K was a big money. So the fact that you don't want to go home and tell them that you throw away your parents' 50K was more than the actual reading for the exam. So you see people coming to night class just to sleep. Because if they're in your house, you feel you're wasting your 50K. So people just come to class, offering out then, stay up, sleep all through, and go back home by 6 a.m. So the fear of failure was really, really there. Another time I remember that I failed was when I was in secondary school. I failed SS1. And the reason I failed SS1, not because I wasn't really good. We studied 11 subjects then in secondary school. And the rule of my school is the fact that you must pass maths and English and any other subject. And I passed close to 8 subjects and I failed English. And they told me to what? Repeat the class. Now, the reason I'm saying all this is because, yes, for all these times I failed, the second time I didn't even put in the effort and I passed. And I'll tell you the reason why that happened. Operator. And that's because of this thing. This is like the pata of them all. Fear of failure. Some people don't even start an endeavor because they are afraid of failing. And that's something I want you to understand, that if you're a techie in this room, you need to kill this. Because of one thing. When you write your first line of code, or you apply to your first job, or you go for your first interview, there's every tendency that they won't pick you. So when somebody come on Twitter and tell you, I started tech in 2016, and 3 months down the line, I started adding $20,000, there's an atom of lie in it. Okay? There's an atom of lie. Please don't believe what you see on Twitter. The reason why you most likely fail is because of one thing. Either you don't know how to arrange your CV, either you don't know how to do hands-on coding during the interview, either you don't even know how to even apply for jobs. I know of a girl that said at some point in time she stopped applying for jobs because of rejection letters. You get? There's a time when I see this, it's like MTN was sending me all those bulk messages. You know, there are times MTN just sends you bulk messages. Subscribe to our 2-day plan for no reason. Yes. I got a lot of rejection emails that it felt like it was, when I said another one down the trash. So you get? So there's this, we greatly appreciate your interest. And there's always the way the email is being arranged. We greatly appreciate your interest in the recruiting room. And the time you have invested in applying, they're even telling you, sorry, we know you filled a lot of forms, and we know you submitted something. Next. Now, I want you to get something. We techies, we understand that if it's not 0, it's 1. If it's not on, it's off. That's a lot of things we do as techies. That's how we understand coding. But life is not binary. That's something I want you to understand. Life is not binary. So because you tried something and you failed, doesn't mean life has ended. Life is actually like this. When you started from 0 and you're trying to get to 1, and you not get to 1, you're no longer in 0. Okay? That's something I want you guys to understand in this room. You are somewhere around 0 point something above 0. It means that if you start that same thing again, and somebody else is starting from 0, you're far better than the person. Okay? You are far, far better than the person. So I applied for a job today at Microsoft, and I didn't get the job. Maybe I got to the interview stage, and they asked me a couple of questions, and I didn't get it. Someone that has not applied to Microsoft before don't have the experience that I have. I can work on those questions and come back again for the interview. But the good thing about it is that if I try again, operator, should I be moving my hand like this? You've moved again forward. Okay, I'm not saying you're going to get there immediately, but you can also try like jump another step. Another one again. Then you got it to 1. You can see that I didn't get from 0 to 1. I made some steps. So now you can now breathe. So let's go to this guy. I love this guy so much because he's one guy that I look up to. He made a very popular quote, and he said this: how do you accomplish my 10-year plan in 6 months? Meaning that you have to do a big thing, give it a small time frame. And he said something: there's every tendency that you will fail. Okay? He put it out there. There's every tendency that you will fail. But the bigger picture is the fact that you will have done a lot than somebody that planned to do his 10 years plan in 10 years. Am I making sense? Am I making sense? Help me now. Am I making sense? Thank you very much. Encourage me. I can open church after this. Oh yeah, thank you. So he said, this is the thing. List your 10 years plan. Put it in 6 months. You might fail at accomplishing your 10-year plan in 6 months. But the good thing about it is that you will have done a lot that someone that gave a 10 years plan, what? In 10 years. Okay? Now, this is another guy I really like. How many of us have seen Endgame? Awesome, good. Remember that time he brought out the time stone and he said that out of 14,605 times that they tried to defeat what? Thanos. They only defeated Thanos what? Once. So as a developer, I want you to have this mindset. Because personally, before that movie, after I tried like 10 times, oh boy, they work. And this guy tried 14 million times to just defeat one person. Just one person. 14 million times. I'm sure if you start counting from now to the end of December, I'm not sure somebody here will count up to 14 million. So I want you to have this mindset. Just to defeat one person. You tried the first time, it didn't work. Try the second time, it didn't work. Try the third time, it didn't work. And he tried, when I got to what? 14,605,000. It works just once. And they were going to take that. Sorry, before that guy is snapping. After he's done, I'll change the slide. Are you done? Thank you. Next slide, please. Now, let's talk about companies that you know that have done a lot of things, but you know them for something different. Okay? So let's start from the first one. Nokia, their first ever product was a toilet paper. Do you know that? The second company, Nintendo, I actually watched a full documentary on these guys. Their first product was playing cards. Like what? You understand? That was their first ever product. Lamborghini, their first ever product was a tractor. Well, it's close to automobiles, but I'll give them a pass for that. LG, life is good, the ACs and everything. Their first ever product was what? Was facial cream. Organic cream. You guys understand? Instagram people, you understand now? And lastly, Amazon, their first ever product was what? Selling books. Not digital books. Hard paper books. So why am I putting this up? Even the big companies that you look up to, they would have failed several times. There was a time Snapchat made an update, and because of that update, they lost a lot of users. What did they do? They had to revert. So you get, I'm not saying you should always strive to fail, but there's something I'm going to show now that you have to understand. Now, I have advices for 3 categories of people here. The first one, if you fall under the junior developers angle, I want you to do these things. Any community that you're part of and you're trying to solve a problem and it's very difficult, don't be afraid to ask stupid questions. The reason is that I have taught at boot camps and online, and I can tell you there is no stupid question. Even in tech and even in academics, there's no stupid question. So as a junior developer here, don't be afraid to ask stupid question. My next advice for you is that try and participate in hackathons. So hackathons is a competition for developers. So I can come down and tell you, okay, I'm going to organize an hackathon. I'm going to put a price tag of 100,000 naira. I want you guys to develop this with a time frame. Always try and participate in hackathon. Like I said, you might not always get the goal, but you will be better than the way you started. And lastly, for junior developers, try and contribute to open source, even if it's just the README part. I'm rounding up. Then for mid-level, always answer stupid questions and apply to that dream company of yours. Even if it's Facebook, apply. Okay? There's one man guy to tell you that they need a pay for application. If you send an application, then nobody's going to charge you to submit your CV. Do it. Even if you have to submit CV 10,000 times a day to 10 different companies or 10,000, submit it. Nobody's charging you for that. And for the founders, build that product. And lastly, participate in product pitch. So let me just go back to this. Okay, now your questions can start coming up while you guys can read this. So I don't know if anybody has any question for me here. Yeah. But what I'm just trying to tell you is that don't be afraid of starting anything you're doing. Try as much as possible. Even if it's to take that bootcamp, do it. If it's to write that code, write it. You might not get your expected outcome. At the end of the day, you'll be better than the way you started. Thank you.
Did we enjoy that? Please celebrate him a lot better. Now, this is why we come to JDG. And this happens once a year. So this is the only time we get around to discuss some of these things. Some of us may not meet ourselves again until next year. All right, so we pick up these knowledges, we get these informations, and then we share jollof rice most importantly. And so we're supposed to take another very important topic. But because of time, I have pleaded with our speaker to skip it for this year, but next year we will definitely get her on the stage. And she has graciously accorded us that luxury. Thank you so much, Susan. I appreciate it. I've listened to Susan speak before. Please celebrate Susan. I've listened to her speak before, and I can tell you, she is loaded. We appreciate you there. All right, so because of time, we're going to take our good photograph because the rain. We wanted to go outside to take our almighty GDG group photograph. You don't want to miss it. So, but because of the rain, we are going to come forward here and take that photograph. So everybody is going to move forward and we'll take the photograph. Before that, recall that Bruce mentioned that there is a Techstar startup weekends. Guys, even if you are not a startup, one of the things I will encourage you to do, I never believed that businesses could be started in short amount of time. For the first time, under 48 hours, we were able to build under pressure. They took away our phones, took away every device we can ever muster, and gave us 48 hours to build a business real time, test it in real market, and have it running. I never believed it. No member of my team ever believed it. But because 15 million was at stake, we built a business, got it branded, sent it to the market, tested it. We were given 100,000 naira to start off everything. And we tested the business, and within 48 hours, we made 500,000 naira. That is something that challenged possible. What I took from there wasn't that the business succeeded, but that if we put our mind within the right environment and the right constraints, we can literally do magic. So I'm encouraging everyone, if you would like to be part of it, even